The most painful thing about being hurt is not what they did. It's the fact that months later, they can still control your emotions without even being present. You wake up thinking about what happened. You replay the conversation. You imagine what you should have said. You secretly hope they regret losing you. But here's the truth nobody tells you. The person who hurt you already won. The moment they convinced you to spend your energy fighting a battle inside your own mind. Because they don't need to be around you to control you. They only need a place inside your thoughts. And today, you are going to learn the one thing that makes a person lose power over you completely. Not revenge. Not anger. Not proving yourself. Something much more dangerous. Something they never expect. The ancient Stoics understood a secret that most people never discover. A person cannot destroy your peace unless they first gain access to your mind. But here is where most people fail. They think winning means making someone feel the pain they caused. They think winning means making them jealous. They think winning means showing them what they lost. But that is still a form of attachment, because you are still living your life based on their reaction. The strongest person is not the one who makes others regret hurting them. The strongest person is the one who reaches a point where their regret no longer matters. And the final lesson in this video reveals the exact mindset shift that creates that level of freedom. Imagine two people experience the same betrayal. The first person spends months trying to prove their worth. They post achievements. They show they are happy. They secretly hope the person who hurt them sees it. From the outside, it looks like confidence. But inside, they are still waiting for approval from the person who damaged them. The second person does something completely different. They disappear. Not because they are weak. Not because they lost. But because they finally understood something. You don't heal by proving your value to someone who refused to see it. That person didn't become powerful because they defeated their enemy. They became powerful because they stopped needing their enemy to lose. And that is where Stoic strength begins. Lesson 1. Remove their power without saying a word. Most people think the opposite of love is hate. But the Stoics understood something deeper. The opposite of control is not hate. It's indifference. Because hate still connects you. If someone can make you angry every time you think about them, they still have influence. If someone can ruin your entire day with one memory, they still have access. The goal is not to hate the person who hurt you. The goal is to become unreachable. Because a person cannot control what they cannot emotionally access. But wait. There is something most people misunderstand about becoming unreachable. It does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean pretending you don't care. And it definitely does not mean hiding your emotions. Because that creates another prison. The question is not, how do I stop feeling? The real question is, how do I stop my feelings from controlling me? Lesson 2. The person who hurt you wants one thing from you. There is something most people never realize about people who hurt them. Sometimes they are not looking for your pain. They are looking for proof that they still matter. They want to know, can I still make this person angry? Can I still make them explain themselves? Can I still make them chase my approval? Because control is not always obvious. Sometimes control looks like making you defend yourself, making you question yourself, making you prove yourself. And every time you do that, you are silently saying, your opinion of me still has power. But a person who has mastered themselves does something different. They stop asking, how do I make them see my value? And they start asking, why am I trying to convince someone who already decided not to see it? That question changes everything. Because you cannot force someone to respect you. You cannot argue someone into appreciating you. You cannot explain your way into someone's heart. At some point, the most powerful statement you can make is silence. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you finally understand that your energy is too valuable to waste. But this is where many people misunderstand strength. They think walking away means they lost. They think silence means the other person won. But let me ask you something. If someone throws a rock at you, and you spend the next 5 years carrying that rock everywhere you go, who is actually carrying the punishment? The person who threw it, or you? Lesson 3. Stop seeking a confession from someone who hurt you. One of the hardest things to accept in life is this. The person who hurt you may never admit they hurt you. They may never apologize. They may never understand your perspective. And waiting for that moment can become another form of suffering. Because every day you wait for their realization, you delay your own freedom. Think about it. You are allowing someone else's awareness to decide when you can finally heal. But why should someone who damaged your peace also control the timeline of getting it back? The Stoics understood that there are things outside our control. Other people's thoughts, other people's choices, other people's reactions. But your response, your character, your next decision, those belong to you. The moment you accept that, you stop negotiating with reality. And that is when your power returns. There was once a man who spent years angry at someone who betrayed him. Every time someone mentioned that person's name, his mood changed. Every time he remembered what happened, he felt the same pain again. One day someone asked him, "Why are you still allowing this person to hurt you?" He replied, "Because they were wrong." The person looked at him and said, "Maybe they were wrong, but why are you allowing their mistake to become your prison?" That question stayed with him, because he realized something painful. The betrayal happened once, but he had been repeating it thousands of times inside his own mind. The person who hurt him was responsible for the first wound, but he was responsible for whether it became a permanent scar. Now this is where the story changes, because defeating someone who hurt you is not about making them feel small. It is about removing the part of yourself that still needs them to feel something. But there is a hidden mistake people make after they discover this. A mistake that looks like confidence. A mistake that looks like emotional control. But it is actually another form of weakness. Lesson 4. Do not pretend you don't care. Some people become hurt, and they decide, "I will never care again. I will become cold. I will trust nobody." They believe they have become stronger, but they have not become stronger. They have built a wall, and a wall does not only keep pain out, it also keeps life out. Stoicism was never about becoming emotionless. Marcus Aurelius was not saying, "Become a person who feels nothing." He was saying, "Become a person who is not controlled by what you feel." There is a huge difference. A weak person says, "I feel anger, so I must act." A disciplined person says, "I feel anger, but I choose my action." A weak person says, "I was hurt, so I must hurt them back." A disciplined person says, "I was hurt, so I will become wiser." Your emotions are real. Your pain is real, but they do not have to become your master. And now we reach the part most people get completely wrong. Because the final way to defeat someone who hurt you has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with revenge. It has nothing to do with proving anything. It has everything to do with the person you become after the pain. Lesson 5. Make your absence speak. Sometimes the loudest message is the one you never say. When you stop chasing. When you stop explaining. When you stop trying to be understood by people committed to misunderstanding you, something changes. Your absence begins speaking. Not because you want attention, but because you have redirected your attention back to yourself. People notice when someone who used to beg for understanding no longer needs it. They notice when someone who used to react becomes calm. They notice when someone who used to seek approval becomes complete. That transformation creates a message no words can deliver. You no longer have power over me. And that is when the entire dynamic changes. Because you are no longer trying to win against them. You are building a life beyond them. But there is still one question left. Because someone can become successful, someone can become calm, someone can walk away, and still secretly be controlled by the person who hurt them. How? Because they are still trying to prove something. And until you understand this final trap, you are still fighting a battle you think you escaped. Lesson 6. Stop living to prove them wrong. This is one of the hardest truths to accept. Sometimes the person who hurt you becomes the invisible motivation behind everything you do. You work harder because you want them to regret losing you. You improve yourself because you want them to see what they missed. You become successful because you want them to realize they made a mistake. And from the outside, it looks like ambition. It looks like strength. But deep down, you are still giving them control, because your life is still a response to them. The Stoic does not build a great life to prove someone else wrong. The Stoic builds a great life because excellence is their responsibility. There is a huge difference. One comes from needing approval. The other comes from self-respect. Your greatest achievement is not when someone who hurt you finally says, "I was wrong about you." Your greatest achievement is when you no longer need them to say anything. Lesson 7. Control what they can never take. People can take many things from you. They can take opportunities. They can take possessions. They can take their presence away. But there is one thing they can never take, unless you surrender it: your inner world, your ability to choose your response, your ability to remain disciplined, your ability to decide who you become after pain. This is the difference between a person who breaks and a person who transforms. The broken person says, "Because they hurt me, I will never be the same." The Stoic says, "Because they hurt me, I will become someone stronger." The pain was real, but the meaning you give that pain determines what happens next. Lesson 8. The person who hurt you is not your final chapter. Many people allow one person to write the ending of their story. One betrayal, one rejection, one cruel moment, and suddenly they see themselves differently. But one person's actions cannot define your identity. Someone can misunderstand you. Someone can leave you. Someone can underestimate you. But they do not get to decide your future. Only you do. The strongest people are not people who never experience pain. They are people who refuse to let pain become their personality. Lesson 9. The final Stoic secret. And now we reach the lesson that connects everything. The ultimate way to defeat someone who hurt you is to become free from needing to defeat them. Because the moment you need revenge, they still have influence. The moment you need their regret, they still have influence. The moment you need them to understand your value, they still have influence. Real victory happens when you reach a place where you can honestly say, "I hope you become better. I hope you find peace. But whether you do or not, I will continue becoming who I was meant to be." That is freedom. Not because they changed, because you did. Remember the beginning? The person who hurt you was waiting for your reaction. Now you understand why. Your anger was proof they still had access. Your obsession was proof they still occupied your mind. Your need to prove yourself was proof they still influenced your choices. But your peace, your discipline, your growth, those are things they cannot control. The greatest revenge is not making someone regret hurting you. The greatest revenge is becoming someone they can no longer hurt in the same way. So the next time someone hurts you, remember this: do not rush to respond. Do not waste your energy proving your worth. Do not allow someone else's behavior to become the ruler of your emotions. Silence your need for revenge. Strengthen your mind. Protect your peace. Because the strongest person is not the person who wins every battle. The strongest person is the person who no longer needs to fight battles that do not deserve their energy. And remember what I said at the beginning: the most powerful thing you can do after someone hurts you is not to destroy them. It is to become someone they no longer have the power to affect. Because when someone loses access to your mind, they lose access to you completely. And that is the defeat they never expected.